Hey everybody, welcome back to The Stuff of Legend. My name is D-Lo and I've got another video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about 6 topics, the first of which you guys have probably heard of. I'm sure that you guys have heard of a couple of these by now, but the joke was on Jared, some Jared Leto Joker drama that's been going on around in the news. I wanted to show you guys that. I wanted to give you guys some context, some historical context, so that you guys can make the determination for yourself whether or not it's justified. And also, Black Adam is shooting soon. I'll give you guys the details on that. Also, Jonah Hill no longer part of Matt Reeves' The Batman. Now we have Paul Dano joining as Riddler, as well as Kevin Feige. Some big news there, as well as Cloak and Dagger news, and information about the Hulk. Interesting actor, Ed Norton, who is no longer part of the MCU, but might want to be part of the MCU. So we'll go ahead and show you guys all of that. Let's jump right in. So, first topic of the day is Kevin Feige is now in charge of everything at Marvel, TV, and more. Now, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, wasn't he already? Well, before he was in charge of everything Marvel film. That means movies. There was a different division separated for Marvel TV. I think that was run by Jeff Loeb, if I'm not mistaken, but a lot of interesting dynamics in the relationships between Kevin Feige and the other studio heads that were involved there. They had some creative freedoms that they would butt heads all the time. Everyone was wondering, oh my gosh, why isn't Marvel Netflix and the MCU in the same continuity? And people who were seeing it were like, no, but they referenced the MCU, they referenced Avengers, and also like Loki attacking the city, the Hulk. They mentioned all of these different things, but it never goes the other way. The movies never recognize the TV shows, and you'll notice a lot of the news that we've been covering lately, including Ghost Rider recently. All these other shows have been canceled, and a lot of them are being moved into Marvel Studios. Film division is now creating TV shows, their own TV shows, which are going to be under Kevin Feige. Now, they were going to do this backdoor style and just allow many TV series to be created by Kevin Feige in the Marvel Studios, using a new studio that they paid for, they created so that they could get around having to work with other people and their creative authorities. Well, now I think Ike Perlmutter it was, not Perlmutter. What am I talking about? I'm forgetting his name. Guy, big head honcho over at Disney. I keep forgetting what his name is. Perlmutter. I think I was right. So let's go ahead and read this. That way I don't butcher this for you guys. All right. I'm gonna take it from the top. Kevin Feige has been named Chief Creative Officer at Marvel Entertainment. Variety reports putting him in a position to oversee Marvel Television, Marvel Animation, and Marvel Comics. So this right here is the big news. Kevin Feige was in charge of just films and the film division so that he could have creative control over all of the films and story continuity. But now he's put in a position to oversee Marvel TV, Marvel Animation, and Marvel Comics. This is a really, really big deal. So basically he's been given almost complete control of everything at Marvel. Now there's a couple of things that are not part of this deal, but I'll show you guys what those are. So Feige will hold a role in addition to serving as president of Marvel Studios as a part of the restructuring. Marvel Television, the division behind Marvel's Netflix and Hulu shows, as well as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Legion, and The Gifted, and Marvel Family Entertainment will move under the Marvel Studios umbrella. Therefore, all of these things are now going to be under Kevin Feige's control, as opposed to before when they were not. So it says, according to Variety, Dan Buckley will remain president of Marvel Entertainment. He will continue to oversee publishing, both creative and editorial reporting to Kevin Feige. Buckley will also oversee publishing operations, sales, creative services, games, licensing, events, and reporting in those areas to Marvel Entertainment chairman Ike Perlmutter. So, technically speaking, Buckley is also overseeing publishing operations, sales, creative services, games, licensing, and events, reporting in those areas to Perlmutter. So Ike Perlmutter will have direct control over those things. So if you talk about video games, those things are going to go under Ike Perlmutter, but that still falls under the overarching umbrella that Kevin Feige controls, because Buckley reports directly to Kevin Feige as well. So Ike Perlmutter will kind of share, in a way, some control with Kevin Feige for these things, for creative services, games, sales, operations. But I'm going to go ahead and wager that Kevin Feige doesn't really want control in those areas, but rather as far as the major overarching storytelling, like live action TV shows, animated shows and movies, and then live action movies, those things are all going to be Kevin Feige across the board. So we won't get any more of those films from Marvel that come out of Marvel Studios, or say like, you know, Hulu or all the other branches of Marvel TV and movies. All of that is going to be Kevin Feige. So there's other details within this story, but you guys can go ahead and read those on your own. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the next one, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys have to say about Kevin Feige becoming Marvel Studios, essentially the Marvel Studios king and lord, high supreme leader of Marvel. So let's talk about that in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. So let's go to the next story of the day. Next topic is Warner Bros. And so this, guys, I want to give you a quick heads up. This story is old, but it pertains to something that's going around in the news now. So this is really what we're talking about today. Did Jared Leto try and stop Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie? Now, to understand the context, we need to go back about a year. So September 2018, this came out. It says Warner Bros. Announces Jared Leto's Joker standalone movie. It says it looks like DCEU is about to get another solo film, but it will be about someone we know. According to a new report from Variety, Jared Leto's Joker is officially getting his own standalone movie. The film will launch a series of movies branching off from Suicide Squad, which we know is kind of being buried a little bit. It says, if Variety sources are correct, then Leto will star and executive produce this unnamed standalone. As of right now, plot details are being kept on the down low, but it seems Warner Bros. Wants to expand the world shown in Suicide Squad back in 2016. The supervillain flick may not have wowed critics, but fans were admittedly impressed with what the film showed of the Joker. Leto's casting for the role, it was a hot topic among the fandom, and his behind-the-scenes antics as the Joker went viral shortly before Suicide Squad went live. So it seems like Warner Bros. Is ready to bank on the future villain. We know, because we're reading this a year later, that this did not end up panning out. What happened was Warner Bros. Was undergoing major leadership changes. A lot of the old guard was being removed, fired. They were retiring. They were, doing all this stuff. The whole slate of people running the show back then has almost entirely since been removed or reallocated to different positions. And now we have Walter Hamada, who took over and is the sole leader of Warner Bros., which is great. And it's been working out really, really nicely. We've gotten a few good movies out of that. Aquaman, Shazam. Things are starting to look up. And we've got a lot of films that are coming out. Wonder Woman 84. There's a lot of projects that were confirmed that are kind of in the air because of this shift and change. But what happened back then was that they were already considering and contemplating a darker, more gritty Joker film. But what they didn't tell Leto was that they were not 100% sure that they wanted it to be inside the DCEU. This right here, this report says that it was supposed to be a branch off of Suicide Squad in the DCEU with Jared Leto, and that didn't end up happening. What we got was a separated Joaquin Phoenix Joker film, which a lot of people are really liking right now. I saw it myself. I thought it was really cool, really interesting, thought-provoking, and yeah, I would like to see another one of those, but Jared Leto got screwed. When Suicide Squad came out, all the marketing leading up was all about Joker. Joker was the villain. Joker was the main plot point of that film based on the trailers. And when the movie came out, they had removed a bunch of scenes with Jared Leto. A lot of it was left on the cutting room floor of the editing room. We never got to see that. Didn't make the Blu-ray, didn't make the extended cuts. There was only like one or two extended scenes that they left on the DVD for people to watch after the fact. Very, very upsetting for not only, I'm sure, Jared Leto, but for the fans too. Most people didn't like Jared. I would say if you talk to anybody, they usually say Jared Leto's Joker was not that good, or it was a disappointment. And if you dig down deep, you find why. It's because we were promised a lot of Joker. We were promised that he would be the villain. He was going to get the spotlight. We only got like less than 10 minutes of screen time for Jared Leto's Joker, which is very weird. That would be the entire, he got overshadowed by Enchantress of all people. And I thought that was really weird. and not the best move for the film. Even though I did enjoy the film, everyone was like, what happened? We wanted more Joker. And so I would hope that they do follow up with this. But let's go ahead, and you can see he kind of got screwed. He was promised a lot. He was promised he'd be the main villain of the film, and he wasn't. Same with the fans. And it was this old leadership that would bend and bow to whatever Marvel was doing. They were like, oh, we don't want to suck, so let's change our entire strategy for this universe of films on a dime. So it was going to be Man of Steel 2, and now let's make it Batman vs. Superman because Avengers, so like they would just change things willy-nilly, and that's not what Walter Hamada is going to do. So good news and bad news, but what we see here is now people are running with this. Did Jared Leto's Joker, or did Jared Leto try to stop Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie? Now, to be fair, I'm sure that he probably at least questioned it, and I'll read this article because I believe context is going to be the key here, but it wasn't about him stopping Joaquin Phoenix from getting a Joker movie. I think it was just the fact that he was promised his own Joker movie, and all of a sudden someone else is starring in it, regardless of who it was. I think he was just like, Warner Brothers, what the heck? I have a contract. You contracted me to be the Joker. That's what we agreed. And so I think he was probably more or less upset, rightly so. But let's go ahead and just take a look. So, and you'll find a lot of these articles always take dumps on Jared Leto's Joker, but that's not going to be me. You're not gonna find that here. So let's go ahead and just read through this. Suicide Squad star Jared Leto. They say star. He was in like less than 10 minutes. Suicide Squad star Jared Leto. He was supposed to be the star. Reportedly tried to get Joaquin Phoenix's Joker pulled. The Oscar winner played the DC Comics role in 2016 Suicide Squad, though was apparently left disappointed when Warner Bros. Moved ahead with the new Joker movie. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Leto complained to his agents, who also represented director Todd Phillips, and asked his music manager, Irving Azoff, to call the leader of Warner Bros. Parent company. The site reports that the plan was to get the studio to kill the project, though a Leto source has denied that the actor made the request. So this is interesting to note, guys. Whenever you see the Digital Spy that I'm getting this article from, they're saying one thing, and then they're also saying, but just please note that other sources have said that this wasn't the case. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean that Jared Leto was like, no one else is getting a Joker movie but me, but he's probably saying, what the heck? You promised me a Joker movie, and now there's some other project you're working on without me. That right there is justified. I think that his frustration is more than justified, because think about this, guys. If you are a fry cook, right, and you make your work showing up at, let's say, Burger King, and you're a fry cook, right, and that's how you make your money, and you have the agreement, hey, I'm going to be the fry cook, I'm going to work here. You show up and your boss says, hey, yeah, we are going to need a fry cook today, and I know you're employed here, but this guy walked in off the street and we're giving him your job. What? Like, am I fired? No, you're not fired, but someone else is going to do your job. What the heck are you talking about? I need to make some money. Am I going to get paid? Well, no, you're not going to get paid because you're not working today. Wait, no, I'm working. I'm on the schedule. The schedule says I'm here. This is my contract. I'm employed by you. I'm supposed to get paid this rate for this much work. Why am I not working? Oh, because, we invited this guy in to do your job. What? Of course he would be upset. So that's what's happening to Jared Leto. Someone else has been brought in to do his job that he's been contracted to do ongoing. He contracted for multiple movies. He's got a multi-film deal. And that's something that he was very upset by, was that someone else was invited in to do his job that he was contracted to do. So, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, even if he did call in and say, look, I want you to kill that Joker film because you're violating our contract, that's justified. So even though I like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker and almost everyone's praising his role, I think Joaquin Phoenix crushed it. This is not against Joaquin Phoenix. It's against Warner Brothers for breaking contract, for saying, hey, and technically they haven't, because it's outside the DCEU. They're just doing him shady by allowing there to be more Jokers. And I say go for it. I say make more Joaquin Phoenix Joker movies if they can, and make more Jared Leto. and bring in another guy for the TV universes. Bring in another one for the Arrowverse. Bring in, like have 20 Jokers at once, all doing multi-film, multi-show episode contracts, because that would be great. That'd be awesome. But I do think that he's getting screwed right now. I think that Jared Leto's getting screwed royally right now. And that's kind of what's happening. So it says here, Leto apparently thought that Warner Bros. Strung him along with the promise of a standalone movie for his Joker, which they did. We just saw that right here in the comicbook.com article. He was promised a standalone film, but it was by the old leadership, right? So a lot of this is like the old leadership getting kicked out. The new leadership has to fix everything and correct course so that stuff isn't just like, it's not like throwing paint at the wall and seeing what is going to stick there and where it lands and what's going to happen. Just to have a strategy, have something going on. That's why they created the DC Black label, so that there could be rated R Joker over here and DCEU can have Jared Leto over on this side. Now, the problem is they need to get these films made, but why then is Harley Quinn's movie, the Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, why then is that not including Jared Leto? That would be the perfect opportunity. Even if you were going to have him there and have her be like, get out of my face, you scumbag, you're not my pudding anymore. Why can't you, just love me, hug me back, treat me right. I do everything for you. And then he could be like, no, because I'm sick and sinister. Like you could do like the whole, like make him the super, super bad guy, even to her, and then have her get emancipated. You could have him there for even a few minutes just to show good faith that he deserves to be there. Now, we don't know for a fact that he's not in there. This could be one big surprise, and he might actually make the film, but he's not in the IMDb credit right now. He's not listed, and it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't credit him there, because we've already seen him in another film. It wouldn't be that big of a surprise, but it is a bummer for Jared Leto. So it says, while Leto last played the Clown Prince of Crime in 2016's movie, earlier this year, he expressed interest in returning to the role while also discussing the upcoming Birds of Prey movie. He says, I would definitely play the Joker again. He said, it all depends on the script and the circumstances, as it always does. Basically this, that he loves the character. He wants to play more of the Joker. It's a fascinating role. Obviously, he loves playing really weird, quirky, often kinky types of roles. And that's the way that his Joker has been brought to life. But he's saying, as long as it's not a horrendous script, or horrendous operating circumstances that he can actually, show up for and be there for, then yeah, he'd love to play the Joker again, including in the Birds of Prey movie, which it doesn't look like he's going to be in, even though it's in the DCEU continuity. So that sucks. Jared Leto's getting screwed, and the bottom line is the joke is on Leto. So that's all I had to say. I know that was a bit of a rant, took a bit of time there, but thank you for joining me on that long speech. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. Do you want to see more of Jared Leto's Joker? Do you want to see more of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker? Do you want to see more of both? Is it okay that we have both? Or does it have to be one or the other? Let me know what your thoughts down in the comments below. Can't wait to hear from you. Next up, we have Marvel's Cloak and Dagger is canceled by Freeform after 2 seasons. So this is really, really interesting, guys. Cloak and Dagger, I saw most of season 1. I almost finished it, but it was kind of hard for me to get on board with the show that was just like, it was such a long, slow burn to like tease you with the superpowers, and it goes, and then like they use it once accidentally, and it's like, come on, give us more, and then they would like, oh no, and then as soon as they figure out how to use it, they don't. And I'm like, why wouldn't you be using that much more? And it's because of budget, I'm sure. So on that basis, it's a little bit difficult to watch for me, but a lot of people liked it. Apparently not enough, though. So Marvel's Cloak and Dagger is canceled by Freeform after 2 seasons, but I think there's more to it than just budget or viewership, because I think that all of the TV shows that were not under Kevin Feige's creation or creative authority will be done away with. I think they're all either going to go bye-bye, or they're going to be reinvented in a new way by Kevin Feige and brought into the MCU. I do believe that probably that some of the characters from the Netflix series will be maybe incorporated into the MCU. Now, this is my personal speculation, but we have seen that Ghost Rider was confirmed for Hulu along with Hellstrom, and now Ghost Rider is not going to be there. It has been canceled. So the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider show has been canceled on Hulu, and this right here, which is a freeform show, is now canceled. So the other thing to note is that Runaways has confirmed that there will be a Cloak and Dagger crossover, and that we'll see them again. So you can see here, this post, the characters will appear in Runaways Season 3, and it shows from Runaways official, I think this is Instagram, it shows the characters from Cloak and Dagger. It shows Cloak and Dagger right there in the middle. And that right there, I think is nice. I think that type of show, Runaways, merges really well with the Cloak and Dagger show, and I think they work well together. Now, I think that they're going to try to bring Runaways into the MCU and have some sort of like Young Avengers meets the Runaways, all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be really, really fun, entertaining, and I think it's something that Kevin Feige probably won't have a problem with, because all of what they did in those shows has been very self-contained. It hasn't tried to reach out and connect to anything else. It hasn't tried to use brands that are already in the MCU or that would be in the MCU, just maybe don't make sense. It's been very self-contained. So you don't have to worry about it crushing or ruining continuity for the MCU, but it is still really, really, I guess, thought-provoking when you think about all the shows that are being canceled right now. Runaways is not canceled as of yet. I think it's probably going to keep going. But I would be willing to bet that if Cloak and Dagger is canceled now, and they do plan to have crossovers with shows that are going to continue, either they're going to get brought in to those shows as like mainstays or recurring roles, guest appearances, ongoing, or they will find a spot on Disney Plus. I'm going to guess that they're trying to get everything consolidated under Kevin Feige's rule, which he now has, and that's probably why we're seeing these things shaken up and shifting around. So I'll let you guys do the research here and read more about that. But Cloak and Dagger show is canceled after 2 seasons, which it is now, and Cloak and Dagger will appear in Marvel's Runaways Season 3. So that's something to look forward to. Maybe one last hurrah, but I think we may see them more after that. So let's go on to the next topic. The next topic is the Batman casts Paul Dano as the Riddler. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. So, you guys had already heard Jonah Hill was at one point being eyed for either the role of the Riddler or the Penguin, but the deal did not come to fruition as it fell through in talks. That being said, we know about Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman, Jeffrey Wright on board to play Commissioner Gordon, but now we have Paul Dano cast to play the Riddler. So I'm guessing that they came down to 2 names, because it happened almost back to back. It was like a couple days apart the news broke. Jonah Hill was out, and then almost immediately Paul Dano was confirmed to play the role. And how it works is that if a company has, if a studio has offered a role to someone, they cannot offer it to anyone else. They can't talk to anyone else about the role, but I'm guessing they had a list of actors that had already tried out for the role, auditioned, and what you get is, we want Jonah Hill. Let's see if we can make it work. Can you film in Toronto from this date to this date? No? Okay. Can you film in Atlanta? No? Okay. I don't think this is going to work out. So let's go ahead and see what the next person is on the list. They confirm that he is no longer in talks. Jonah Hill says, no, sorry, it's not going to work for me. Now they can say the next person on the list, Paul Dano, do you want the role? And he says, heck yes, I'll do anything. And then they say, okay, great. Now they can, boom, confirm Paul Dano's in the role. So Paul Dano was recently nominated for an Emmy Award, for his role in Showtime limited series Escape at Dannemora. And the actor directed, co-wrote, and produced the critically acclaimed 2018 film Wildlife. His other film credits include Love and Mercy, Prisoners, 12 Years a Slave, There Will Be Blood, Little Miss Sunshine, Youth, and Okja. If I'm saying that right. Or Okja, I don't know how to say it. Among others. Created by Bill Finger and Dick Sprang, The Riddler, a.k.a. Edward Nygma, or Enigma, is a supervillain who aims to challenge Batman in a battle of wits, leaving clues and riddles for the world's greatest detective to solve in order to catch him. Since debuting in 1948's Detective Comics number 140, he has gone on to become one of the most high-profile Batman villains, appearing in movies, cartoons, and video games over the past 7 decades, stretching his question mark gimmick as far as it could go and then some, including spending some years as a good guy when he realized it was just as much fun to solve crimes as it was to commit them. And so Warner Brothers is set to release the Batman on June 25th of 2021. Dano is, and then it just goes on to talk more about Dano. So this is interesting. I really love the character of the Riddler. I think he's one of the best villains for Batman, because Batman is the world's greatest detective, and that's what Matt Reeves said. He wanted to show what would make his Batman stand out from all the other Batmans that have been in live action is that his is the greatest detective of all time. And so he's going to cast a villain like the Riddler, have a talented actor like Paul Dano play this super mind villain, challenge the Batman to a battle of wits. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really, really excited, and I can't wait to see this. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Paul Dano, do you like him as the Riddler? Do you like that the Matt Reeves Batman film is going to have the Riddler in it as I imagine, the primary villain? What do you guys think? Let me know what you have to say about it down below in the comments. Anyways, thanks. Let's go on to the next topic. And next in the DC news is Dwayne Johnson reveals that DC's Black Adam film starts production in July. So, Dwayne Johnson has been attached to play Black Adam for DC Entertainment for years. Black Adam is one of those film projects that has been lingering around in the background for a long time, waiting to be unleashed. Well, Johnson recently revealed in a tweet that the production on the film is set to start in July of 2020. So the movie is actually really moving forward. This is sure to get DC fans pumped up because there's been a lot of excitement about seeing Johnson as Black Adam. And gosh, I know I've been super pumped. If you type in Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson, or The Rock, Black Adam, you're going to find a lot of good fan art on this subject because it's been almost 10 years in the making. He was contracted in 2011 to play the role of Black Adam, and because there was projects that were being worked on and never came to fruition, and it's been pushed back, but now, with Shazam, they teased, I think it was 3 or 4 times in that film, that Black Adam was coming, and Black Adam was going to be the next thing, the next film in that series, and I am super pumped because Dwayne Johnson is literally perfect to play the role of Black Adam. He looks like Black Adam. He's built like Black Adam. He understands the role. He's been waiting to play it for so long. I mean, how long do you need to prep for a character? Most people have about 6 months, 9 months. Dwayne Johnson's had like 10 years, and he's been getting better and better as an actor. And I'm super excited. So let's keep reading. Dwayne Johnson's tweet was in response to an artist's photo of a sculpted head he created for the actor's version of Black Adam. Johnson said, "The project has been with me for over 10 years. Production begins this July." And he would know because he is one of the primary producers of the film. So, let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. The film is, so far, you can see right now on the screen, this is the tweet. Very cool, man. Thank you. Amazing detail. The project has been with me for over 10 years. Production begins this July. Appreciate the support. And what's really interesting is this. It says, the film is set to be directed by, I don't know how to say it, but Jaume Collet Serra, and produced by Dwayne Johnson and Hiram Garcia. And filming is set to start this July of 2020. So I'm super pumped. July 2020 is when it's going to start. Holy cow. I can't wait because with Walter Hamada in charge of Warner Brothers and Jeff Johns been the creative officer of DC, we know how well things have been going. Aquaman, although it is a very unique and individual take on the character, was a really good movie that did very, very well financially at the box office, and fans gave it raving reviews. A lot of fans really, really love it. Now, that being said, same with Shazam. I think a little bit less people saw Shazam, but it was still a great film, amazing comedy, and fantastic take on the character and his story. Dwayne Johnson is going to change the game. It is going to be so cool. Anti-hero, just like this. I mean, we haven't gotten to see a lot of anti-hero films. There's been, some Wolverine films. You can make the argument that like Venom was an anti-hero film, even though they kind of played him a little bit closer to a hero than they did an anti-hero. In this case, with Black Adam, it's gonna get dark, but it's gonna be in the same realm or vein as Shazam, just much more serious, more intense. Gosh, I can't wait. And yes, this is a great sculpture. I really like that. Black Adam producer Hiram Garcia previously talked about Black Adam saying this: you're going to meet a character who's going through a journey. He was created as a villain, and through the love of the fans and through some great writers and storytellers, he evolved into an anti-hero. The anti-hero is a character that we always loved and that we responded to, but we understand that there's been many aspects to Black Adam through him. But ultimately, this is a guy who, he does deserve a moral compass, as skewed as it may be. And ultimately, he is a guy that everything has always been driven by his family and what happens to them. And he is never opposed to unleashing hell when you cross him. So I think when you add in those elements of that DNA, those are things we are very aware of. They are basically going to dive into his motivations, why he is a hero to his own people and a threat to the rest of the world. And it's going to be very, very good, I imagine. Obviously, we don't know how the film will end up, but if it's anything like Shazam, I think it's going in a good direction. So I cannot wait. Imagine Man of Steel meets Shazam, and then you get the tone of Man of Steel with some of the lore and the backstory of Shazam. It's going to be really, really freaking cool. And then I can't wait for the film that comes after that so that they can finally clash, and we'll get Black Adam versus Shazam. And then my life will be complete. It'll be awesome. So I know everyone's been waiting for this for a really long time. If you are one of those, leave a like on this video and leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on this news. So anyways, let's go to the next topic of the day. The next topic of the day is former Incredible Hulk actor Edward Norton open to return to MCU as a villain. So this is kind of a mouthful of a topic. So I'm going to go ahead and read this kind of quickly, but you guys know Edward Norton. Edward Norton, let me see if I could show you guys a picture of this. Edward Norton, I'm going to go Hulk. So you guys remember Edward Norton Hulk, right? So Edward Norton played the Hulk, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, that was pretty cool. That was awesome. And Abomination was the villain in that one, which is like the green, ugly Hulk. I'll see if there's a picture around here. There might be, there might not be. It's okay. I don't want to waste too much time on that. But nevertheless, he was replaced. So one thing to note here, guys, is Edward Norton was replaced by Mark Ruffalo. And so when he got his film, it was Iron Man, it was Edward Norton's Hulk, it was Captain America and Thor, and then the Avengers. And so those were the first 5 films. But what happened after this was, after he was replaced in the Hulk, we don't see Edward Norton, we see Mark Ruffalo. Everyone was like, what the heck? Why isn't that Edward Norton? Who's the new guy? And a lot of people didn't know who Mark Ruffalo was at the time. A lot of people didn't. He became famous through being in the Avengers. But Edward Norton, a lot of people were fans of his portrayal. And they were like, I wanted to see more of that. What happened? He had disagreements. There was a lot of difficulties with him being on set. He was always voicing like changes he wanted to make to the script, to the story. And he wanted a darker, grittier Hulk. He wanted something that was a little more serious, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe was kind of reeling it back a little bit. Hey, we don't want it that dark. We want it to be more family oriented. We need to chill out. And he wouldn't shut up about his opinions on that. So they canned him and they said, hey, we're going to get someone else that's a little more compliant. And they did. Now, that being said, Edward Norton is saying he's open to return to a Marvel movie in the odd event that the studio would have him back to play a different character in the same universe. And he says this, maybe as a baddie, maybe I'll write my own, Norton told Total Film Magazine via Games Writer. Games Radar. He says, I don't know. I'm open to anything. I mean, I did ask the storybots on Netflix. And then he talks a little bit more here. It says, the notion is perplexing considering Norton does not seem to have his own quarrels with 2008's, or that he does seem to have his own quarrels with 2008's The Incredible Hulk. And he says this, the Hulk was ... I feel sad that director Louis Leterrier and I set out to do, I felt sad that what the director and I set out to do in terms of making more of a Chris Nolan approach to making something that was a little more dark and serious, they ended up sort of neutering. And Norton said, he said, I wanted to make a big CGI movie and learn and see stuff. I grew up on the Hulk and I loved it. And actually, people really liked the movie. You know, kids love the movie. It's another one of those things. It's the amount of noise that people whip up around it. It's so silly. I couldn't be more happy to have been a part of that whole tradition. So what he's saying here is, even though he cried and moaned and complained about how the film was turning out, he wanted a dark and gritty, serious, kind of like 2008's Batman Begins. He wanted Batman Begins to kind of be like the Hulk, or to be what the Hulk was, just with more CGI. He wanted a heavy, violent, gritty CGI Hulk, and Marvel, he says, kind of neutered it down so that it would be family friendly. But now he's trying to kind of reel it back because obviously it's a massive, successful franchise. He definitely wants to be back in the spotlight. No one really knows what he's doing right now. People don't really follow him. So he says, which is probably why he mentioned what he's doing up on Netflix. And he said, you know, kids love the movie, meaning that, yeah, it was neutered, it was for kids. And then he's trying to complain without complaining so that Marvel will take him back. It's another one of those things. The amount of noise that people whip up around it, it's so silly. What he's saying is that people liked it, but you only really heard negative things about the film online because the people that don't like something are the loudest. People that like it have no reason to say anything. People that don't have an appreciation for something or don't like something will almost always say something. And so he's saying, I couldn't be more happy to have been a part of that whole situation. Trying to like reel it back so Marvel will take him back. And then it says here, Norton, however, believes that exiting the role of the Hulk opened other doors for him, which might be why he is interested in a villain role and could be another one-time character in his career. He says, when it was like, okay, that's not what you guys are into doing, to me, it's just becomes a pure thing of time and life, Norton said. You can't do everything, and I wouldn't have made Birdman and Grand Budapest, and I definitely wouldn't have made Motherless Brooklyn in that franchise, or if that franchise was filling up all my time. It's silly to manufacture negativity when it isn't there. You know, I loved being a part of it, and I think Marvel achieved everything they wanted to achieve, so God bless. And so, all of this to say that this first statement up here, he'd like to return to Marvel as a bad guy. He wants to come back as a bad guy. And I think that, hey, that's not a terrible idea. Is it possible? Is it probable? We don't know. I would imagine that Marvel probably doesn't want to deal with him again because they imagine it'll probably happen again. But could they and might they? I think the answer is yes, and I'll show you guys why. So Edward Norton is not the only person that may or may not have been replaced. So recastings have happened in Marvel. So we know that he was replaced by Mark Ruffalo, but he wasn't the only one. So we know that War Machine was replaced. Terrence Howard was replaced by Don Cheadle. The Hulk was replaced. Fandral was replaced. So this one was Josh Dallas being replaced by Zachary Levi, who then got killed off in Thor Ragnarok and is now Shazam over at DC. Thanos was replaced. I mean, they had stuntman and actor Damien Poitier playing Thanos in that end credit of the Avengers, and then he was replaced by Josh Brolin. Groot was also replaced. Not the voice actor Vin Diesel, but the body motion capture actor has been replaced a couple of times, as well as Red Skull. Red Skull was Hugo Weaving and is now Walking Dead's Ross Marquand. So it's been possible. These types of things have happened, and we know that has already happened. But what I think makes this a more compelling argument is actors who have played more than one MCU role. So we can take a look. I'm going to go ahead and scroll up so you guys can see this. Actors you didn't realize played multiple roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We talk about Chris Hemsworth played Thor, and he played one of Hajo's heads. So in Thor Ragnarok, there was a character with 3 heads. Chris Hemsworth is the head right above this word. So the head on the left is Chris Hemsworth. The one on the right is Taika Waititi. So we come down here and we see Korg was over here as well. Korg was played by Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, and he also played one of those heads in the 3-headed guy. I forget his name. And then Laura Haddock, who played a random Captain America fan, and she played Star-Lord's mom. So she played 2 roles as well. We talk about Doctor Strange playing Doctor Strange and playing Dormammu in motion capture and the voice, which is actually what he did in The Hobbit as well. Or actually, no, in The Hobbit, he just played Smaug the Dragon. And and so then here we have Amadeus Cho and Mr. Harrington being played by Martin Starr. So this was from the Hulk, from the Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. And again, in Spider-Man Far From Home and Homecoming, one of the teachers was that actor. So they get reused. Clancy Brown played Ray Schoonover in The Punisher on Netflix, which it is technically an MCU series, but it's kind of also not because they didn't want to recognize it. And also Surtur, who was clearly in the MCU. I mean, it was Thor Ragnarok, but he got to play both. And then also Miriam Sharp and Mariah Dillard. She was in Luke Cage, and she's also in Spider-Man. Captain America: Civil War. And then also Kenneth Choi playing Jim Morita, and Principal Morita, the grandson of Jim Morita. You can see him playing himself. You can see the Howling Commandos and a picture of his grandfather up on the right. It's the same actor. So I think that's pretty interesting. And that was a role that had lines both times. It wasn't just someone in the background, you know what I mean? And so with Sean Gunn, you have Kraglin, and he was also the motion capture for Rocket, which I think was really cool. And Matt Gerald playing White Power Dave in the Marvel one-shot All Hail the King, which you can find on the Blu-ray disc of Thor: The Dark World, which wraps up what happened to the sort of villain Trevor Slattery in Iron Man 3, as well as being, I forget what his name is, Melvin Potter, if I'm remembering that correctly, but he's that guy who makes Daredevil's suit in Daredevil. And then there's Tony Curran, Boar, and Finn Cooley. So you can see there's a lot of guys that have played both. Oh, Paul Bettany playing Jarvis and Vision. You get the little girls Imogen and Isabella Poynton playing Roman Day's daughter and Lila Barton. Then you also get Nathan Fillion kind of playing 2 roles. You get Joe Russo, the director, playing 2 roles as well, kind of playing not really himself, but you know what I mean. And so lots of people have done both. It's not so far-fetched to say that Edward Norton could come back and play a second role, especially if it involves makeup or if it involves CGI. I think that could be a very good thing to have Edward Norton come back as a villain. You may just choose him to play a character that you don't recognize facially. You know what I mean? So I don't know that Marvel will do it because they don't. I think they don't usually reconnect ties with people that either speak bad of them or don't, or they've been fired for certain reasons. We haven't seen a lot of people get fired and rehired, but people can play multiple roles. And so if they're willing to overlook their history, yeah, this could work. So let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see Edward Norton come back into the MCU and play a different role, maybe a villainous role? Jump down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and check the comments and see what you guys are saying right now. So right now, we have Jeffrey Lane saying, hey, everybody. And Jeffrey Lane also says, hey, he isn't doing good movies, that's why. If we're talking about Edward Norton, then I would say yes. I haven't seen all of his work. I haven't seen much of his work. But I think he's a good actor that ends up taking roles that aren't so great. Perhaps we're talking about Dwayne Johnson, to which I'll say I think Dwayne Johnson says yes to a lot of movies. Perhaps more than he maybe should, but he's got a billion great films, a ton of really decent films, and tons that are cheesy but also really enjoyable. I can't remember seeing a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson film and being like, that sucked. even not even once. It was always either like you get laughs out of it, it's a charming film, you know, something like that. But he's been making a lot of good ones recently, so I hope that we get to see a lot more of that soon. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining this video. Be sure to leave a like on this video, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can be alerted right away when I go live next time. That way you won't miss a single thing. Anyways, if you want to support the channel financially, as you can see below, I have my tpublic.com/user/the Stuff of Legend show has over 130 designs for different Hall of Fames for your favorite Batman actors, Superman actors, Joker actors, and almost every Power Ranger you can imagine. I mean, I've got not all the Power Ranger designs, but I've got a lot of Power Ranger designs, so you guys can see that. Tons of different series up there, from like first gen to a lot of the recent ones as well, including Beast Morphers. So if you guys want, you can get designs for t-shirts, mugs, sweaters, lots of things. I won't bore you with the details, but those are the ways that you can support me for free on YouTube by like, shares, comment, subscribe, and financially if you want to support the channel by going to my TeePublic and checking out what kind of merch you can get. So that'd be really nice. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining. Stay tuned for more right here on The Stuff of Legend.